So Sam is a high school student, and he has a bunch of friends, and they used to meet, like every week they would go to this local cafe, and they would have breakfast. And so Sam was sitting there one day, and he goes, y'all, this is not good. He said, my grandma cooks better than this. And so all the kids were like, well, then have your grandma cook for us. So Sam called his grandma, Grandma Peggy. Peggy said, yeah, bring them all over. Well, that started a weekly Wednesday breakfast at Grandma Peggy's.
No way.
Yes.
She has to love this.
She absolutely eats this up. And, it might be 4 kids this week, but it might be 12 kids the next week. She gets up super early and just starts cooking it all. So this went on for just about a year. A year this was going on. Unfortunately, Sam passed away in a car accident.
This is her grandson?
Her grandson.
How sad.
And so, of course, his friends, his family, Grandma Peggy, devastated. And so there was some talk that they were going to stop having this breakfast together. Finally, Grandma Peggy said, you know what? No, I want you guys to come on.
Really?
They've been showing up. Woo! Every Wednesday since then. Grandma Peggy said, you know what? These kids have healed my heart a little bit. Like, I'll never get over this. But they just put a smile on my heart every week when they show up. She said, we have these great conversations just about what life is bringing us, but also about Sam. She said, Sam would be so happy that we continue this tradition.
Oh, you know it. I mean, he's the one who started it and asked Grandma Peggy to do it.
Yeah.
And these kids have all that in common with Grandma Peggy, and she's like, I love this. She's soaking it in. And she has a purpose and a reason, and I love that.
She absolutely does, and I feel like these are lifelong connections that they're going to have. Maybe 20 years from now, they'll show up at Peggy's again.
Honestly, the guy thought he could really get away with it. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio. So he's in near a jewelry store area, sneaks into the store, goes to where the mannequins are, and pretends to be a mannequin because he was waiting for the store to close so he could rip off the joint. Didn't work.
I think it worked for a little while because he stood very, very still, and nobody passing him knew that he was a mannequin. There were 2 others that did this a while back in a clothing store, and they actually got away with some things. Yeah. I mean, they were eventually caught, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, this guy didn't. I mean, pretending to be a mannequin. I mean, Scott pretends to be asleep sometimes.
That's only when we talk.
I do. Well, at home, I've got a teenage daughter and a preteen son, and things can get a little cray-cray from time to time. So I'll get in my recliner and pretend to doze off a little bit if things
really.
I do.
Okay, so I may or may not have done that when the babies were little. In the middle of the night, just pretend I didn't hear anything because I knew my husband was getting up.
I've been knowing a lot of people that are getting married, so there's all these wedding registries, including my niece Madison. I don't think I've seen this one unique thing on her wedding registry, by the way. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio.
Yeah, so Annabelle and James, they're engaged. They're putting together, probably doing the Target thing, the Walmart thing. They're scanning all the deals, the KitchenAid mixers and whatever. And about 26 days before they were supposed to get married, they added one last thing to the registry. James had gotten a speeding ticket, and so they thought, okay, let's try to get it that way. It was $231 for this speeding ticket. They put it on their registry. They did a TikTok about it. They posted it on their social. So it was funny. They were joking around. I think they would have taken the money had it come in for the speeding ticket, but only a couple of dollars. They actually ended up having to pay the speeding ticket themselves.
Oh, I'm so sorry. They had to pay their own speeding ticket.
Although,
you never know. Maybe somebody would have. So at least they gave it a shot by putting the speeding ticket up on the wedding registry.
Well, here's what I think. So a lot of times at a wedding reception, somebody will ring a bell and the bride and groom are supposed to kiss, or they'll pay $1 and you can dance with the bride or the groom. So maybe they play police siren during the wedding reception, or revving up car, and that's to signify you're supposed to donate.
Just turns out that there's this single mom who had a huge need. What these students do, get her a car.
Yeah, they got her a car. She needed a car. She
They
desperately
got her a
needed.
car. High school students got her a car.
Well, she needed one. They recognized the need. She has 6 kiddos. Like, she is a single mom with 6 kiddos. So it had to be big enough also that her entire family could get in this thing. So the high school students took it upon themselves. They reached out to a local organization, and bada bing, they get her a car.
Isn't that amazing?
I think it's super cool that, they even recognized the need, and then somebody spearheaded it, because there always has to be the leader to say, okay, we're going to do this, and then the school and the students got behind what was going on. So I think they raised like $10,000.
Got her a nice Toyota, one that she's able to get her kids around in, and to have 6 kids.
Right.
Raising 6 kids on your own.
Yeah. When they gave her the car, like, she was, you could almost see in her face she's a little stunned. And I think when someone does something like that, just above and beyond, you don't even know how to react. Like, your heart is exploding. You're afraid if you say anything, the waterworks are going to start, which is okay. But her face really said it all.
This lady is totally transformed, 100% sold out for Jesus. And you might know who she is. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio.
Yeah, her name's Kat Von D. She was on a show called L.A. Inc., and it was about tattoo artists.
And she's got tats all over the place, right?
I think, like, 2 sleeves. I think she's totally covered. Like, her legs are covered, this whole thing, maybe even some things on the face or whatever. But she's having them covered up. They're actually, like, blacking them out a little bit to cover up some of the tattoos, because her lifestyle has changed. October 3rd, she was baptized. She was into some things that, she now realizes were not the best for her, were not great. And so she has given her life to Jesus, and she followed through and was baptized at her church on October 3rd.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Talk about a powerful story.
Absolutely. The platform that she has and just that transformation that she's even still going through, of course. She's getting a little backlash from some people.
Oh, of course.
Saying, you've still got some bad tattoos and you're still, these things. And she's like, look, I'm doing my best. And here's my thing. She is just like, all of us, a work in progress every single day, and she's doing her best, and we need to support that.
Hey, listen, when I came to Christ, I was still doing some bad stuff, and he changed me from the inside out.
Right.
I mean, and nobody could have told me to do anything different, but God did it all because I surrendered to him. And that's what it sounds like this young lady is doing.
She is. And, she's trying to do the right thing. She's trying to follow Jesus. She's studying the Bible. And so, what I think is try to give her some grace and mercy as she is walking through this new life, this new transformation that she's made.
I stink at small talk. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio. I mean, seriously, when it comes to small talk, I am bad at it. Now, here's the thing. If I know people, I can hold a conversation. No problem. But if I'm in a room where there's a bunch of people that I don't know, I'm so introverted. It's nuts.
You're introverted?
Yeah. I know that sounds crazy, but again, if I'm in a room of people that I know, I'm okay. But if I'm in a room of people where I know maybe one person, and that would be my wife, I'm introverted. I don't know how to do small talk. It doesn't work for me.
Okay, well, I am an extrovert in every facet of my life, and so small talk is a little easier for me. I hate awkward silences, and so I will just jump in and start talking. But there is a way to do it, especially if you're introverted, at least in some cases. There's some questions that you can kind of keep at the ready that will get people talking. Okay, I'm going to help. You ready? Here we go.
Let's do it.
Ask about their family. First of all, like, do you have any siblings? Okay. The worst part about that is if they say no, well, then where do you go with that? You can ask where, they and their spouse met. if they have children, ask about the child, what they're studying in school. You can ask about their job. What do you do for a living? Especially if you
Okay,
don't
so
know.
maybe this is because this is what I do, day in and day out, is talk to people like this and ask those kind of questions. Here's what I feel like when I ask those kind of questions, and this is me personally. This is just me. I feel like I'm interviewing them for an article in the newspaper or something.
Well, and I do get that. I think for most people that don't have this kind of job that Rob and I have, then it wouldn't feel like that so much. You're just asking about their life, and honestly, like you could even ask something like, "So, what are you doing this weekend?" You know what I mean? And it opens it up. And if they say, "Well, I'm coaching soccer," oh, well, how'd you get into coaching? And so you listen to the little bits and little nuggets.
And hopefully they respond that way. I've tried every now and then. I'll try, and if it's another introverted person, it really doesn't go far. It's like, so tell me about your family. I'm married, a couple kids. Okay. So how about your kids? I got a boy and a girl.
Right. And they don't expound. If you find that
Worn out.
right. And it is sometimes if you're the one that's trying to make all the small talk, it is exhausting. But I think you kind of at that point cut your losses and move on.
And then, okay, here's what drives me batty, is that you're at a table, everybody knows each other, they're having conversation, you join in, and then it's just like silence. It's like, wait, and then you try to join in the conversation and say a few things, and it's like, it gets awkward with everybody.
You want to like sink back into the couch cushions. Dana is just about obsessed with Taylor Swift. It's all she can talk about. She talks about Taylor's music and the concert and what she's wearing and how she got to be where she is. She cannot stop talking about it so much that her husband has said, it's enough. I'm over it. I don't want to hear another thing about it. He has put together a Taylor Swift jar, and every time his wife says something about Taylor, a quarter has to go into the jar.
For real. I'm surprised he's not charging more.
Well,
so how's it coming along for him?
I think he's about ready to buy a brand new, Escalade or something because she's talking about. And then he even added like an addendum at the bottom. He's like, oh, and Travis Kelce too. So she can't talk about Taylor.
Man.
She can't talk about, I guess, her new boyfriend Travis. I don't think she can talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. She can't talk about anything without being charged.
Wow. Wow.
I love this so much. I feel like I need to have one for my daughter.
I feel like I need to have one for America. As much as there's all this Swift obsession, I mean, listen, she's a nice lady. I get that. Very talented. That's wonderful. But I don't need her to consume my life of those who are around me.
She does. My daughter ordered an album, an actual vinyl album in a certain color. My daughter doesn't own a turntable. Like, what? Like, what?
She's got great fame and fortune. That's wonderful for her.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. Beautiful human being. But the obsession, I feel like I need a jar. I was at an airport once, and I saw this guy walk by me, dark hair, dark beard, had on like a plaid shirt.
Like a flannel?
Flannel shirt, that's it. Had on a flannel shirt, and I'm like, that looks like somebody. What is it? And then I realized, oh, that's Billy Mays. Or Mayo, or whatever the guy was that sold.
Oh, the infomercial guy.
Yes.
Okay. I knew the name.
Thought I said his name wrong for a second.
I just couldn't think of him.
I'm like, that's him. And go to figure out he was in the Tampa Bay area the same time I was flying down there.
Did you get a picture?
Bay. No, I don't do that to people.
My grief. Huh.
I don't do that to people. So somebody was in a restaurant in Georgetown, looked across the way and go, that looks like, who is it? That's Bill Murray. Sure enough, it was Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, from what I understand, really likes the Low Country. I feel like he owns or is part owner in a cafe, a restaurant, or something in the Low Country. So maybe he he's spotted around town because he's visiting. He's
Well,
checking
he
up
was
on-
in Georgetown at a restaurant. I think it was called Roots, and so somebody got their picture with him.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool that they are gracious enough because you know what? It's got to get old at some point, especially if you're, of a caliber of a Bill Murray, where everybody knows your face because you've been in a million different movies. But yet he can be so gracious.
I really like his acting because he makes me laugh.
Groundhog Day? Absolutely.
Oh, classic. I've got to watch that movie every year.
Right.
And he's just so brilliant in that movie.
Yeah.
I've never met him, so I don't know what kind of person he is personally.
Mm-hmm.
He must be okay if somebody can walk up and say, hey, can I get a selfie with you?
Oh,
well, the
right.
guy's eating in a restaurant, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a celebrity once that I asked to get a picture with.
Oh, no, you didn't.
And I'm not going to call him out.
They said no, didn't they?
They said, and it was just the way they said no. And like we were working together on a project. I'll say that. And they said no. And I was like, oh, okay. That's cool. But it felt like, I just wanted to
I get it.
take a little quick 2-second selfie.
I totally get that.
I do too, because it's got, like I say, it's got to get old. But in the moment when it's you asking, that it feels your heart hurts a little bit.
And then you don't like him anymore.